Boston police officer is found dead in the snow. His girlfriend is accused of running him over with her SUV and leaving him to die in a blizzard. The prosecution says it's murder. The defense says it's a cover-up. And after 2 trials, a hung jury, and millions of Americans watching, the verdict finally came in. June 2025. Before we dive into one of the most controversial cases in recent American history, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the American Shadow family. This case has everything: mystery, police corruption allegations, a community divided, and a verdict that shocked the nation. Drop your state in the comments below. Let's talk about this together. This is the story of Karen Read, John O'Keefe, and a case that asked one simple question. Did she kill him? Or was she framed? January 29th, 2022. Canton, Massachusetts, a small town just outside of Boston. It's early morning, the snow is falling, and a homeowner looks out their window and sees something horrifying: a body, lying face down in the snow on their front lawn. The homeowner calls 911. Police arrive. Paramedics rush to the scene, and when they turn the body over, they discover it's one of their own. John O'Keefe, a 46-year-old Boston police officer. He's been outside all night, in the freezing cold, in a blizzard, and he's barely alive. John O'Keefe is rushed to the hospital, but it's too late. He's pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The cause of death? Hypothermia, blunt force trauma to the head. And the question everyone's asking: how did he end up in that yard? Within hours, police have a suspect, Karen Read, John's girlfriend, and according to investigators, she's the one who put him there. Karen Read and John O'Keefe had been dating for about 2 years. They met in 2020. John was a dedicated police officer, a loving father figure to his niece and nephew, who he'd been raising since his sister passed away. He was well-liked, respected, a good man by all accounts. Karen was a finance professional, successful, independent. And by all appearances, she and John were happy together. They went out. They socialized. They were building a life. But on the night of January 28, 2022, something went terribly wrong. That night, Karen and John went out for drinks. They bar-hopped around the area. They were with friends. They were drinking. And at some point in the night, they ended up at 34 Fairview Road in Canton, the home of Brian Albert, a fellow Boston police officer. There was a party at the Albert house that night. Other officers, friends, people socializing. And according to the prosecution, this is where everything fell apart. The prosecution's theory was simple. Karen and John had been drinking. They got into an argument. Things got heated. And when they left the Albert house, Karen, in a fit of rage, backed her Lexus SUV into John. She hit him, hard. And then she left him there, in the snow, in the freezing cold, to die. The evidence, according to prosecutors, was damning. Pieces of Karen's broken taillight were found near John's body. There was damage to the rear of her SUV, and Karen herself had made statements that seemed incriminating. She'd called John's phone repeatedly that night. She'd left voicemails, angry voicemails, and when she found him in the snow the next morning, witnesses say she screamed, I hit him, oh my God, I hit him." It seemed like an open and shut case. Karen Read was arrested, charged with second-degree murder, vehicular manslaughter, and leaving the scene of an accident. If convicted, she faced life in prison. But Karen Read said she didn't do it. She said she was being framed. And she had a theory of her own. Karen's defense team argued that John O'Keefe never got out of the car at the Albert house. They said John went inside the party, without Karen. And something happened inside that house. Something violent. Something that the people inside didn't want anyone to know about. The defense claimed that John got into a fight inside the Albert home, that he was beaten, possibly by other police officers, and that his body was then dumped outside in the snow to make it look like an accident. And Karen? She was the perfect scapegoat. The defense pointed to several pieces of evidence that didn't add up. John's injuries, they said, were inconsistent with being hit by a car. He had scratches on his arm that looked like they came from a dog. The Alberts had a German shepherd. He had injuries to his head that looked like they came from a fist, not a vehicle. And then there was the matter of the investigation itself. The defense accused the Canton police and Massachusetts State Police of conducting a sloppy, biased investigation. They said evidence was mishandled, witnesses were pressured, and that certain people, specifically the homeowners Brian and Nicole Albert, were given special treatment because they were connected to law enforcement. The defense also pointed out that the Alberts sold their house and got rid of their German shepherd shortly after John's death. Why would they do that if they had nothing to hide? And perhaps most damning of all, the defense claimed that Karen's broken taillight wasn't broken at the scene. They said it was broken later, possibly by investigators, to frame her. The case became a media sensation. True crime podcasts covered it, news outlets followed every development, and the people of Massachusetts, and really all of America, were divided. Some believed Karen was a cold-blooded killer who murdered her boyfriend in a drunken rage. Others believed she was an innocent woman being framed by corrupt cops. In April 2024, Karen Reed's first trial began. The trial lasted weeks. The prosecution presented their evidence, the broken taillight, the voicemails, the statements. The defense countered with their cover-up theory. They brought in experts. They cross-examined witnesses. They poked holes in the prosecution's case. And after weeks of testimony, the jury began deliberating. They deliberated for days. But they couldn't reach a verdict. The jury was hung, deadlocked. Some jurors believed Karen was guilty. Others believed she was innocent. And the judge declared a mistrial. The prosecution decided to retry the case. And in April 2025, Karen Reed's second trial began. The second trial was even more intense than the first. The same evidence, the same arguments, but this time the defense had refined their strategy. They hammered home the inconsistencies. They questioned the credibility of the investigators. They painted a picture of a woman who was being railroaded by a corrupt system. And on June 18, 2025, the verdict came in. Not guilty of murder, not guilty of manslaughter, guilty only of operating under the influence. The courtroom erupted. Karen's supporters, who had gathered outside the courthouse every day of the trial, roared with applause. Karen herself broke down in tears. After 3.5 years of fighting for her freedom, she was finally vindicated. But the verdict didn't satisfy everyone. John O'Keefe's family was devastated. They believed Karen was guilty. They believed she killed John and got away with it. And the guilty verdict on the DUI charge, which carried only a 1-year probation sentence, felt like a slap in the face. Legal experts called it a mercy verdict. The jury didn't believe Karen intentionally killed John, but they also didn't believe she was completely innocent. They believed she was driving drunk that night, and maybe, just maybe, she did hit him, but not on purpose, not with murderous intent. So what really happened that night, we may never know. John O'Keefe is dead, and the truth died with him. Was Karen Reed a killer who got away with murder? Or was she an innocent woman who became the victim of a police cover-up? The case raised serious questions about police conduct in Canton and Massachusetts. Were investigators biased? Did they rush to judgment? Did they ignore evidence that didn't fit their narrative? And if John O'Keefe really was killed inside the Albert house, will anyone ever be held accountable? After the verdict, Karen Reed spoke publicly for the first time. She maintained her innocence. She said she loved John. She said she would never hurt him. And she thanked her supporters for standing by her through the darkest time of her life. But the fight isn't over. John O'Keefe's family has vowed to continue seeking justice, and some legal experts believe there could be civil lawsuits, wrongful death claims, more investigations. The Karen Reed case is a reminder that the truth isn't always black and white. That reasonable doubt is real, and that sometimes, even after 2 trials and months of testimony, we still don't know what really happened. One thing is certain: this case has left a mark on American true crime history. It sparked debates about police accountability, about how we treat women accused of crimes, about how the media influences public opinion, and about the very nature of justice itself. Karen Reed is free, but John O'Keefe is still gone. And somewhere between the allegations, the evidence, and the verdicts, the truth remains buried, just like John was, in the snow, on that cold January morning. Thank you for watching American Shadow. This case is far from over in the court of public opinion. What do you think? Was Karen Reed innocent? Or did she get away with murder? Drop your state and your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our stories. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, the truth isn't always what it seems. Rest in peace, John O'Keefe. You deserved better than this.